This is Python's Paradise. I am your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, I have a three-time guest on here tonight, plus a tag partner. Yes, we have the House of Heathens. We have the awesome Diemos and Ariel Teal Piper. How you two do?
Hi, doing good. How are you?
Well, you learned something last time we talked. I'm an hour ahead of you.
I know. I honestly had no idea that there was a time zone past the East Coast of the United States until you got to London. That blew my mind.
Well, you did mention in the book that Roddy Piper and Bret Hart planned WrestleMania 8 at a restaurant in Moncton, and that is in New Brunswick here.
There you go.
Let me guess, Colt wrote that part, didn't he?
For sure. Yes, it definitely Colton.
Yeah. Well, first thing I would like to do is I would like to express my deep thank you for doing the Doubtfire Face challenge, Ariel. I appreciate that so much. That was so funny.
You're welcome.
And you're not the only wrestler to do it, because I had a friend of mine who's a big wrestling fan that threw a bunch of names out, and some of them are really expensive on Cameo, but Tori Wilson did it as well.
It's harder than you think to find a cream pie, and then it finally dawned on me just to get whipped cream. So
yeah. Well, I would have had you nominate people, but I didn't know whether Cameo would look at that as a business or whatever. I didn't know how that would work. So, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, on my birthday this year, you want me to throw it out to you again, and I'll donate to one of your charities.
I'm happy to do it.
All right. Yes. And I'll get you to nominate 3 people in the wrestling community. But I'm thankful you did that, and your Cameo ran out and you still did it. So when I cameoed you at Christmas time, it was my way of saying thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, of course.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciated that, and got you to sing even, you know.
You did. I don't do that often on Cameo.
Yeah. Well, I just got involved with Cameo because my brother's been taking care of my parents, and he was a big Ricky the Dragon Steamboat fan, and I got Steamboat to send him a cameo, and the Dragon did an 8-minute cameo video and just took him around his Dragon's Den, as he called it. My brother never saw that coming. He said, you can usually predict. He said, usually you give me shitty presents. He says, I'm surprised.
Awesome. He did an 8-minute video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he said a good shout out to your dad.
Oh, I'll have to look for it. Is it on his Cameo?
Huh?
Is it on his Cameo still?
It might be. If not, I could probably get it to you, though.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah.
But look at this. Look at this awesome book. I got the hardcover, and I remember I sent it. Look at that. There's Colt, and there's yourself, your signature. So I appreciate. Are you guys still dressing Colt up in drag?
No, he doesn't let me anymore. But there was a time where I could get away with that.
You got what, 3 sisters or 2 sisters?
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
And you guys dressed him up in drag.
Oh yeah. Coltina, he was beautiful, beautiful young lady.
You see, I got a bunch of stuff here that I gotta have to show you, but I'm gonna see if he looked anything like this. Just a second.
The suspense. Well, he was a little bit leaner.
I went to a Comic-Con 2019. They had a bunch of these for real cheap, and a lot of them were in really good shape, and I grabbed a bunch of them. And I was quite I like those ones because, you know, you could throw those down a flight of stairs and they wouldn't break. And trust me, I have
what you need in a wrestling doll.
Well, I got 3
Kids are throwing those everywhere.
I got 3 Terry Funks, and 2 of them look like they went through a dog's mouth. And I just can't chalk that up as Terry was in another barbed wire match. But I got some of these from a flea market, but I got this one here. Look, Piper is all
I think I
red,
have those. I think I
red
have one or
face.
two of those. Yeah. I think mine's still in the case too.
Yeah, this one didn't have
Those
the
are
kilt.
old.
Yeah, but man, I like these, and I got a bunch of these when I was. This one here's in pretty good shape. So yeah, but he didn't have his kilts. Hard to get them with stuff with them. I've got
Yeah.
3 Terry Funks, not one of them with a brandish iron. But and then there's another fella here too. I gotta get you to do a duet with this guy.
I would love to.
I
Absolutely.
think you and the Iron Sheik should do a duet on your next album.
I can't imagine that not going straight to #1.
Speaking of which, you mentioned to me when you was giving me some notes on Diemos. Diemos, you were trained by Nikolai Volkov.
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Wow. You know,
Yeah.
I never met him, but I'm in a movie with him, and I'm in Cool as Hell 2, which was directed by James Balsamo, and all I had to do was film my own scene and just send it to him. So it's spliced into the movie, but you got Nikolai Volkov taking his fist and going like this down on James's head.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I thought the Sheik and Volkov were a great tag team. What was that training like?
Baptism by fire. You know, when you're dealing with those guys from that era, you kind of sink or swim. You know, I was just lucky enough to swim.
Did he have the Iron Sheik come in and put you in the camel clutch and make you
humble? No, I'm very sad about that, but no.
I'll tell you, if it hadn't been for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, they were going to annihilate those Killer Bees at WrestleMania 3. He had that camel clutch on Jim Brunzell, and Jim Brunzell wasn't going to get out. It's funny because I interviewed a Canadian actor a couple days ago who used to be a wrestler, and I thought it was a shtick. But no, he said he used to spar with Bruno Sammartino. And it was interesting. Howard Jerome, who was in the Trailer Park Boys movie, swearing at the movie. And I had him come on, and he had talked about he used to spar with Bruno Sammartino and Killer Kowalski. And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Bruno, to me, there's no champion like Bruno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was raised on Bruno.
Bruno was awesome.
Yeah.
They can all talk Hulk, but to me, Bruno is above Hulk Hogan. And I like this guy more than Hulk Hogan, too. That's why he's got the belt on him.
Well, he's my favorite, but
yeah.
I'm biased.
Well, I remember before WrestleMania 3, which to me is still the best WrestleMania, hands down the best WrestleMania. I remember the little stickers that were in the hostess chip bags. I know I told you and Colt, I think the first one I saw was Jake the Snake Roberts because I like snakes. And I was like, what is this all about? And I told me they used to put the snake on his opponents. I was like, I have to see that. And I started watching wrestling, and these hostess chip bags, one of them stickers had Piper on it. And there was all these strange individuals: George Animal Steel, Kamala, Sheik and Volkov. Another familiar face here, Piper's partner in crime, Mr. Wonderful.
You got so many there.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Some of them I got at a flea market. A guy came and sold them to me for a good price.
Oh, that's neat.
Yep, and I got a bunch of them at the Comic Con. I got this one at the Comic Con because it's in such good shape that hardly any paint loss. I got everybody and anybody. I even got a Bruno in here, which I showed off. I even got Outback Jack. There's a name from the past. Outback Jack. My brother says I should not admit that to anybody, but
Aw,
I liked Outback Jack. I liked Outback Jack.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, And if this guy were still alive, he'd be a good one for your album.
Am I making another one of those wrestling albums?
I think you should. I used to have the
I would.
pile
I keep
driver
pitching
one.
the idea of wrestling the musical, but so far I'm the only wrestler that wants to do it. I think it'd be fun.
See, if King Kong Bundy were still alive, he'd be good for that.
See? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got so many of these. I even got Bob Orton in here, who I know your dad was affiliated with, and I've got so many of them in there. But I'm waiting for the Diemos and Teal Piper figures. When?
So are we.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I haven't done this yet. I've got to order your CD. I haven't done that yet, and I'm going to. I promise you, I just haven't gotten around to it. And I got to
Okay,
get
it's on. There's music on iTunes. I do
Yeah,
have
but
more
I
that I'll be
want
putting out at some point
I
this
want to
year.
order the physical media. I'm a physical media guy. I still get yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I hate having so much clutter in my house. Anything that can be digital is.
Are you kidding me? I got stacks of Blu-ray right above me. This is like a temporary place because I'm just in a small apartment here until my brother and sister-in-law and I get our own place. So they're gonna live upstairs and me down.
Oh,
But
that's fun.
I lived in my house, childhood home for 47 and a half years until my folks come down with their illnesses and had to sell the house because of the stairs. So,
Yeah.
but that's out in the boonies, and I'm kind of like happy to be in here. But I work as a cleaner, so I've been working through this whole stupid pandemic. But thanks to Zoom, the station being closed, and now I can do it this way. So
Well,
this,
hey, God bless
yeah.
technology.
Yes. Well, it's funny. Our station's closed where you could have very few people in there. Yeah, I can get into the theater. I've been going to the movies since last July.
There's like nothing coming out to watch though.
Well, Promising Young Woman was great. I'll say
I
that
have
that
not
was
seen that one yet. I think I just got the SAG screener for it though. So
it was beyond what I thought it was going to be. So that was
all
great.
right. There you go.
But
It's weird living in a COVID world.
Speaking of which, though, I can't understand why Psycho Sleepover wasn't up for any awards.
I don't understand why it wasn't the biggest movie of its generation. It's clearly underrated.
I loved it.
Plot made complete sense. I definitely was the breakout star of that movie for sure.
I forgot Felissa Rose was in that.
There was a lot of random things in that movie.
Well, you got stabbed in the back of the head with a knife and you were in pain for like 2 seconds until it was mentioned that boys were coming over. And then all of a sudden, oh, gee, I'm in a good mood.
Had to kill the boys for the rules of slumber parties.
Did your dad
no boys allowed.
Did your dad see Psycho Sleepover?
God, I hope not. I did him the courtesy of not watching his terrible movies.
Oh, They Live was great.
Well, They Live is not a terrible movie.
They Live. I actually heard a story, and I think your dad told the story that when he left the first time, I heard that John Carpenter was actually at WrestleMania 3, and I'm like, wow. What would that be like? That'd be my question for John Carpenter right there. What was it like being in that arena, seeing that event, you know?
It must have been very electric.
Yeah, Steamboat Savage still the greatest match I've ever seen, you know? But still, I guess Vince McMahon didn't want him to leave, and he said he could get your dad any movie he wanted, and your dad said, not with John Carpenter, you won't. And I guess Vince's response was the brand is him and Hulk Hogan, so they made No Holds Barred, which was a laugh. I think even Jesse Ventura looked embarrassed to be a part of that. But They Live, awesome.
Yeah. They keep saying they're going to remake that movie, and then it always gets held up in copyright issues or something. But you never know. It'd be interesting to see that remade with today's like technology and all the politics you could play into there.
I got a great idea. They should do what they did with Ghostbusters and turn They Live female and have you fight with somebody for 10 minutes in an alley.
I would happily do that. I love that movie in spite of my dad being in it. I'm a big sci-fi fan in general, so I would totally do that.
Did your dad ever see Keith David in There's Something About Mary? Because looking at him and They Live, and then There's Something About Mary.
I'm sure he did. I don't remember, but I'm sure he saw that movie. Yeah.
Him freaking out when Ben Stiller zipped the zipper up. That was interesting seeing Keith David do comedy.
He's great, man. Keith David's great in everything he's in. He's very versatile.
Do you ever see him anymore? Like,
I haven't seen him in years. I think the last time I saw him was like 10 years ago in Hollywood somewhere. Yeah.
yeah.
But I love his acting.
So, by the way, I've done 2 wrestling related interviews, those you're involved with, and I had Princess Victoria on here. Princess Victoria shared something with me. I want you to confirm it.
Okay.
She said she was around when you were in the womb, and
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know that I can confirm that.
your original name was supposed to be Chelsea Marie.
Really? I was always told that my original name was gonna be Mary. Like,
Well,
but maybe Mary was gonna be my middle name. I'm not sure.
I don't
Like,
know.
my dad wanted us all to have like proper Scottish names, and my mom did not. My mom obviously wanted.
Oh, I thought that. Oh, I love the Ariel Teal. I
Thank
love that. I do. And then you got Anastasia. I think your brother should have been named Aladdin. Then you could keep.
I know, we're all
going.
like princesses. My brother sounds like a cowboy, Colt Baird. Sounds like a cowboy name.
How is your brother doing?
He's doing all right. You know, ever since I got into wrestling, I think it's sort of reignited his love for it. So, you know, maybe he'll come back to wrestling, maybe not. He's just kind of been doing his own thing, kind of refining himself the last few years. He got married, has kids. So.
Well, how is your family since this? And how's your mom? You know.
You know, it's been a weird few years. There's been so many major changes. You know, my family lives everywhere, all across the United States now. And, you know, we don't always get to see each other, but, you know, we're hanging in. My mom is back in Portland, Oregon, you know, helping take care of the family that's left up there. And, you know, it's obviously a hard adjustment for her because she lost, you know, her life partner. So she's kind of having to find something to do with the next chapter of her life. But, you know, we all talk every day, so we're still very close.
Well, I'm going to be having Princess Victoria back on, but I didn't even know who she was. And I went looking for Velvet McIntyre, who was a wrestler that she's like a female Ricky Steamboat, you know. I never seen she did a cross body and she goes around in circles as the opponent goes down. Steamboat's the only other one I've seen do that, but I've seen Velvet do it first. And the person that got back to me was Princess Victoria, because they have this Facebook page, and she said that Velvet had problems with her hearing and whatnot, and so I wasn't going to interview her, but I was kind of like, I wonder who Princess Victoria is. And I looked her up, and I watched for hours the two of them in tag matches, and I was like, hey, you want to come on my show? She come on for 3 hours and 20 minutes. I'll tell you, she does not like Vince McMahon at all.
Oh, man.
She does not like Vince. She does not like Moolah, and she does not like Hulk Hogan, but she loves your dad.
Yay.
She loved.
Well, I'm glad she had nice things to say about him.
Here's one story she told. She said that when she first met Hulk Hogan, he was coming down the corridor in the locker rooms, and she said hello to him, and he didn't even acknowledge her. So she says, "Prima donna much?" And she could hear Roddy laughing somewhere nearby. But she loved your dad. She loved Don Morocco. She loved the Samoans, Andre the Giant, and Jesse Ventura, and Jimmy Snuka. So those were people. Yeah. She loved all the women except for Moolah, but I'm hearing a lot about Moolah that I won't get into. But you know, but hey, I hope I'm in as good a shape as she was at 80 years old. I'll tell you that. She took an RKO at 80, so I won't judge her as far as that goes. But Yeah, no, I loved Psycho Sleepover. I watched it. I forgot Felissa Rose was in it, but I wanted to tell you because I last time talked to you, I had not seen that movie, and I found it on here, and I laughed my ass off. I gotta say,
Well, good. It was certainly fun to make.
yeah. Well, I hope you do get the chance to do some more movies, but I remember there was a time when you said to me, "I'm not going to go into wrestling.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
going to go into wrestling." And what did you do?
I 100% went into wrestling.
Good.
I
That
don't know,
means
life changes, and there was several reasons. I mean, I never wanted to tease the idea of going into it unless I was sure I was going to go into it.
mhm,
But you know, things changed for me when I wrote the book. That was a big turnaround as far as me wanting to explore that avenue of life more. And
mhm.
then, turns out I like it, so I just stuck with it.
Well, keep yourself safe. I saw a picture of
Thank
you
you.
on Facebook where it showed your feet. I don't know who took the picture. Maybe maybe Demos did. You had crutches and you were laying on a couch.
Yeah, I blew out my knee. I had a new ACL put in and my meniscus repaired on both sides. March, I think 2019, or no, 2020. I don't know what year it is anymore. It's post-apocalypse, doesn't even matter, but 20, like right before the plague hit. So then I spent most of the year rehabbing from that,
Mhm.
which was its own journey.
Yeah.
But at least for all times to have surgery, it was during COVID. So I wouldn't have been able to work or train anyways because everything had just shut down.
Well, you know what? Now you're into wrestling, I can plot that Teal Piper versus Tamina Snuka Fujian strap match. I can plot that, can I?
Yes, go for
Are you
it.
you
Put
gonna
it
hit her
out
with the
there, it'll happen.
coconut? Actually, you know what? One thing I wish for you is do not ever let them exploit you because I hear a lot about that. Even your dad spoke about it, you know. I hope that you do well, but never let them exploit you.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a finicky business, but I've got good people looking out for
Hmm.
me, and I'm I'm the kind of person where if I want to do something, I'll do it, but I
Hmm.
don't. I'm not a very desperate person, so if I see something that makes me uncomfortable, I just won't do it. So
When are you going to put Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard, and a sheet and a diaper and lead him around by a rope?
probably not soon, but I'll leave it on the to-do list.
I'm remembering all these things. And Brother Love's still kicking it too. But
Wow.
yeah. Damos, I wanted to ask you, since I'm not as familiar, where did you give us some of your background and what led you to want to get into wrestling?
Oh wow. I'm just the stereotypical boyhood dream type thing. I decided I wanted to be a wrestler when I was like 9 years old,
Hmm.
and I never ever stopped pursuing that.
Did you have these kind of collectibles that I
I did. I did. I had a lot of them. Yeah,
did you have the rubber ones like I did?
I had every kind you could imagine.
Oh wow. Who were your favorites growing up? Piper must have been
Choose
one.
wisely.
Well, honestly, when I was really, really young, it was Piper and Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate
Um,
Warrior. I like him. I hear a lot of complaints about him, but I got
oh,
to
he's a
admit,
terrible person, but I didn't know that when I was 5.
I liked him better than Hogan. I'm
Oh wow.
sorry.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those two, and then when I got a little bit older, I looked up to guys like Stone Cold, Triple H, into that generation.
I'm going to tell you, I don't like Triple H a whole lot. I tell you that. I think of Triple H and I think, gee, China got burned bad. And that's all I can think about. I don't know. I left a wrestling group on Facebook the other day because it got toxic. There are people on there that you can't have an opinion, but some people just put comments on there just to evoke uh, an outcry. And one person put the biggest crybaby in wrestling, Bret Hart.
Hmm.
That yeah, I'm sorry. And then somebody went on there trying to stir shit, saying talking about Shawn Michaels. And I know I told you this, Ariel, and I told Colt this. I am not a Shawn Michaels fan for what he did to the Canadian flag. Rubbed it on his crotch, spit on it, stomped on it, blew his nose on it. I don't think I'd want to meet him. I don't like him. Do not like him. And I'll tell you, he might have won in the ring, but I know outside the ring, he never won, including that Marine that kicked his ass.
Marines, plural.
Nah, I think it was just one. Look, Sean's a, excuse my language, but Sean's a pussy. Let's just get it right. I mean,
I don't know Shawn Michaels personally, but I know he's a great wrestler. That's all I really know.
Marty Jannetty kicked his butts. Bret Hart pulled his hair out. I don't know. I get it, you know, like the Iron Sheik, when he put the American flag on the mat and he'd never spit on the flag. And people would bring up to me, well, Sergeant Slaughter burned the American flag. Again, it was a skit. But what Sean did, that was just off the cuff. He reached out and grabbed somebody's Canadian flag there in the crowd. And I'm surprised that I had somebody had said to me, if it was up to him, he'd never wrestle again. I brought this up to Princess Victoria, and she said in the old days, he would never been back in Canada. But I have never liked him since. I will admit I do have a figurine of him on here. The cat threw up on it one night, and I was like, yay!
Your cat knew.
My cat knew. He's around here somewhere. He's my tag team partner. And he runs and hides, so I'm kind of on my own. But yeah, he was one I did not care for. And I get you gotta get heat, but I don't think you have to stoop to those lows to do it, you know. Your dad knew how to get heat. Ric Flair knew how to get heat, you know. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's one thing for sure. If he wanted to get Canadians to hate him, he did a good job.
Yeah. Well, if you guys know him personally, my apologies. But that image, if Bret Hart had done that to the American flags, they would have called for his head. But Bret Hart has more sense than to do that, you know? That's the thing. But I don't know. You ever see Bret Hart much?
I think last time I saw him was maybe 2019. I don't exactly remember where. I want to say the Cauliflower Alley Club convention. But yeah, I run into him once in a while. He's always very, you know, kind, and him and Dad were always very close. So
I know they planned the WrestleMania 8 event here in New Brunswick. I didn't know that. I saw Bret live one year. I actually saw Owen Hart live one year. He took on Bastion Booger. Owen did, but I saw Bret Hart against Yokozuna, and I remember afterwards they were coming out through the back doors, and first we saw the head shrinkers and Mr. Fuji come out, and Mr. Fuji got in the passenger side, and I'm like, he's trained them well. One of them's driving. But Bret Hart came out, and I reached out and I kind of went like this on his shoulder. I was like, solid rock. But yeah, that was an interesting night. But yeah, but we need to talk about the House of Heathens.
yeah.
First, yeah, you were in a wrestling promotion. And I'm sorry, I've heard of AEW. Again, I don't watch television. I just play my Blu-rays. So you'll have to school me on this. But talk about the promotion you two are both involved in and your tag team, House of Heathens.
Yeah. So right now we're working steadily with ARW out of Florida and SWE out of Texas. We actually have shows for both of them coming up this week. So that's really where we've made our tag team debut, is at those two companies. And it's exciting, you know, especially for me, because we actually bonded together over rehabbing injuries. He had broken his neck and had his neck replaced essentially right when I had my knee replaced. So we, you know, spent a lot of time rehabbing and talking about the idea of teaming up. You know, he's been training me. He's a very skilled wrestler. And so I've been lucky enough to get to work with him and people he brings in. And, you know, we had this idea of doing this House of Heathens intergender tag team, and, you know, to see it actually come to life now and to get to go out there and do this as a couple together. It's just been really exciting, kind of living our dream, you know.
You see, I'm one to talk about Shawn Michaels because I'd be a big pussy in wrestling too. I don't want a broken neck. Bring us
His neck like
through
exploded.
that. Bring us through this. How did it happen? And talk us through that.
Well, I was getting put in a suplex, and the guy just couldn't hold my body weight, and he fell and dumped me on the top of my head. Crushed my C4 and C5 vertebrae and paralyzed the whole right side of my body.
Oh, gee, my tag team partner just took off. I was going to put him on here too. He was getting in a little close. He knows I'll put him on camera here, and he don't like my tag team partner's going to be useless. But no, I've heard Terry Funk talk about a lot of his injuries, and yeah, I don't know whether he's officially retired, because I think he's retired more times than your dad has.
A lot of times.
And Mick Foley, I know, had a diagram on his book about these arrows pointing to everywhere where he's had an injury. It's like everywhere. So are you completely healed up, or how much time's gonna go?
I'm about 80%. Like, I still have, my nerves need to start refiring at 100%, but I mean, like, my neck bone is all fused up and everything. It's just getting my muscles to reconnect with my brain. It's about 80% now.
Wow. Well, you mentioned you used to have a lot of these figurines. Who did you have?
Oh, wow. Literally all of them. I had hundreds of action figures.
You still got them?
No.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Life, for lack of a better term. I don't know. I used to have a lot of collections of wrestling, comic books, all that stuff. Just kind of with the years going by, you know, lots of moves, things like that.
What about you, Ariel? How many action figures you got? I know you got some. I know it.
I mean, honestly, the only one, when I was a kid, I used to have one of Dad. You know, I'd like keep him in my bedroom because I always missed him when he was on the road, but I didn't have like collections of them growing up. Like I've said, we weren't even allowed to watch wrestling growing up. But I do have a box of those older action figures from probably the 80s, early 90s, something like that my mom gave me. And I was actually going to donate them. And as I went to donate them, like 3 people were like, "You can't get rid of those."
No.
So they're just sitting in my storeroom.
I'm telling you, don't get rid of them. Who did you have?
They're just sitting in my storerooms for whenever.
Well, you still got
but
the
I'm not
dog
even
collar.
Sure who's all in there. I know Dad's in there though.
I know you got the dog collar.
I have the dog collar. I have the boxing gloves from his match with Mr. T. I got all the bagpipes, the kilt, the jacket, the sporn. I got pretty much all of that stuff is hanging out with me these days. I look forward to the next time I have it anywhere near another family member so I can give them a few boxes to hold on to. As much as I love holding on to things.
Yeah, but you could dig them up, and you two could.
Oh my God! Not with those gloves.
I watched one night. There was a video where I was so amused by this. They were recreating the Ricky Steamboat Randy Savage WrestleMania 3 match with these LGN rubber figures, and of course at ringside, of course there was a Jesse Ventura one where he was like this. But they never did one of Gorilla Monsoon. So this guy had this little tiny little wig thing he put on King Kong Bundy with little glasses. And I just laughed. I said, Gorilla Monsoon looks angrier than usual. I thought that was funny. But nonetheless, we're waiting for the action figures of you two.
Yes, soon enough. We got trading cards made.
Yeah.
So that's cool. We've been selling those here and there when we do appearances. I don't know if they're available online, but we don't have the action characters yet.
You got to get on that. You got to get on that.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. We gotta get House of Heathens toys made.
Slam buddies.
Slam buddies.
I found it funny. You say you're an intergender tag team, and it wasn't all that long ago where that wasn't even a thing. But and I'm not against it either. I love Ronda Rousey. By the way, I love that little thing you did with her in the ring where she blew that horn.
Oh, the World of Warcraft commercial.
Yeah, I saw that. I like
fun.
it. She had you. She went to. She pushed your head down and went to blow it like out of my way.
It was very fun to do, for sure. It was a good day.
Yeah, I know Rhonda got fed up with the fan reaction to her at the end. I don't understand fans today because it's like they jeer the heel or jeer the faces and applaud the heels, and it's weird because first off, Hulk Hogan would have never survived that in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, the dynamic today is, it's definitely different. I think the formula for heel and babyface is still there, but there's still a lot that can happen. I think ultimately it just takes a moment for the audience to turn and make you a heel, whether you're trying to be a heel or not. And at that point, I think you just need to embrace it, and vice versa. But it's a very different audience today than it was 20 years ago, I would say.
Well, I'll tell you, my brother and I were watching SmackDown one night before Christmas 2 years ago, and most of it was skits, not wrestling, and we got through maybe 15 minutes of it, and I was like, let's go back in the computer room. And we went back in the computer room, and we watched Andre the Giant against Harley Race, and where Harley Race slammed him, and Stan Hansen, and watched your dad and Jimmy Snuka go at it, and all of that. And I said, this is what's missing. This is what's missing. And the crowd was with it. The crowd was just with it, and you didn't have to dictate anything to them. You just had to, I don't know, maybe Vince is old. I don't know. So I'm going to go, you two faces or heels?
We would prefer heel, but we were constantly used as baby faces.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Now, is it true it's more fun to play a heel?
Yes.
I think so.
I heard that Dom Morocco had said that he hated playing a face. He liked playing the heel. And Rick Martel said the same thing. He said he had the most fun in his career when he was the model. So is it true that when you're a heel, you dictate the match? Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. All right. These are a few things I've heard through listening to Jim Cornette.
Love him.
You know what? There's a spiel he does on Vince Russo, a 20-minute one. Sometimes when I'm in one of those moods, I listen to that same spiel. And I just get back in a good mood. I don't know where he comes up with the stuff he comes up with, but
he's great. We listen to his podcast sometimes. It cracks us up.
He said he would like to take a baseball bat to Vince Russo. He said he'd like to bash his brains in with a baseball bat so his brains explode faster than a hand grenade going off into a Jello factory. Where do you come up with that? And apparently he got expelled from a convention when he ran into Santino Barella. Did you see that?
Yeah, those two don't get along very well.
No, apparently they don't. And it's sad too, because I said to my brother, I would have went there to see Jim Cornette. But they're trying hard to get Jim Cornette on Cameo. And I guess they're getting other wrestlers to send him cameo messages.
I feel like I would buy a Jim Cornette cameo.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Well, I get Jim Cornette's point, but I've never watched AEW before, but I now I don't know whether it's Orange Cassidy or Little Dog Pockets. Jim Cornette calls him my little dog pockets. I don't know. I like it when he gets on his rants, and I got nothing against Orange Cassidy, but like I said, anytime his face is on one of these things for Jim Cornette, it's like, okay, this is going to be good. Or Kenny Omega, like he just goes after them. And again, I've got no dog in that fight, but anyway, you two are now the House of Heathens. Got to get back to back. I lost track. Talk about wrestling as a tag team. Now, were you the first intergender tag team, or is that something that this federation is doing special?
We're definitely not the first.
You mean like first ever in wrestling?
I would say for like we know Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey took on Triple H and Stephanie at WrestleMania, but I mean like strictly, you know how you had Demolition, Powers of Pain, Legion of Doom, Heart Foundation, British Bulldogs, Funk Brothers. So you two are a tag team like that, but it's just your intergender.
Yeah.
I never heard of a full-time intergender tag team before. So are you the first to do that, or has it been done before?
No, it's very commonly done everywhere else in the world, but WWE,
Okay.
you know, it's a normal everyday thing that men and women compete against each other and with each other in Japan, Mexico, all over the UK. You know, so I mean, only WWE likes to separate the two genders as much as they can.
Well, you know what? I do like Japan wrestling. I gotta say that. That was where I saw Andre take on Stan Hansen, and that was
Yeah.
again heat. They were throwing spiels and spiels of colorful confetti and stuff all in the ring in the match.
That's funny. Yeah. So we're definitely not the first to do it, but I mean, we've been having fun getting to train together, work together. You know, it's really neat being out in the ring with him, doing matches, and I don't know, it's very exciting, at least for me. Like I think I'm enjoying it a lot more than I would doing singles matches right now. You know, it's been very fun. So we're loving it.
I remember when they would do matches like that, every time one would tag, either both males or both females had to get out of the ring. And it would only allow the gender, the male and the females fight. With how it is now, can the genders be in the ring mixed together?
Everywhere but WWE.
Oh, WWE sucks then. Of course, it didn't stop Ronda. She did a number on Triple H at the WrestleMania match. I think she could have hurt him really. But okay, we'll talk about that. Do you ever worry about each other in the ring?
Oh, nonstop.
Yeah, I think he probably, you know, for me, he's been doing this so much longer than I have.
Okay.
You know, and he's very good at what he does. So I think he probably worries a lot more for me than I do him. But I saw, especially with his neck surgery, like I still have moments where, you know, like we're still kind of testing the, you know, his comfort level with that. So like I have moments where I'm like, okay, I guess that worked. Good to know. You know, but it's also, you know, it's also exciting because we can feed off each other, and, you know, and as much as I might worry or he might worry, it's also a really cool experience to learn together and work together and all of that. Talk
about your training. I'm assuming you just got done training because you're a night owl like me.
Yep. I gotta say, like, I was training as hard as I could up until I had to have my knee operated on, but then training with him is a whole nother level. Let me tell you, I've never spent so many hours in a gym, in a ring, on a field or whatever, just doing tons and tons of different kinds of training and endurance and trying to get on that high level. I still have a long ways to go before I'm on his level, but, you know, I've always believed with anything, whether it be, you know, acting or art or anything you're trying to get better at, if you're not training or working with people that are significantly better than you, you're never going to get better yourself. So he does a good job challenging me every day.
Well, he learned from Nikolai, the big Russian.
Yes.
You ever break out and do a Volkov promo on her during training?
I do not. No, no, I do not. No one can do Volkov but Volkov.
And nobody could do the Iron Sheik like the Iron Sheik.
Very true.
Accurate.
Very true.
Okay. What are some of the things you guys do for training? Like, is there any special routine you guys do, or is it spontaneous?
Well, I mean, I'd say in a perfect world, you know, we do a lot of obviously like weightlifting and stuff, and then we try to get cardio done actually during the ring. So anytime we're training in the ring, that's our cardio. You know, a lot of like footwork stuff, strength training, things like that. You know, you have to be able to hold people, hold people up, and lots of cardio. You know, it's a different kind of conditioning.
I watched Charlotte Flair do training online here, and I was just mesmerized that I couldn't do this. Like I said, I couldn't do this, but she picked these big barbells up just like that. I think even Daniel Bryan and Sheamus were there, and I think they were like envious.
Yeah, she's a beast.
I'm impressed with her. She is one of those wrestlers today I think is so awesome, you know. And she took the figure 4, turned it into the figure 8, you know. I think she's taken a lot from her dad, but she's also done a lot on her own as well. And she's so magnetic in the ring, you know. She's somebody I do love watching. She's I'm waiting though. I'm waiting for her to do the face plant thing that her dad always did.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, she's definitely earned her spot there. She's a very talented wrestler, and you know, definitely made her own name.
Mm-hmm. So when do we go see Teal versus Charlotte?
I have no idea.
Here's a question: do you do the eye poke?
I do the eye poke.
You have to do the eye poke now.
So.
And is your finisher the sleeper?
It's still a work in progress, I'd say, but I tend to lean towards that. Yeah.
What is your finisher, Diemos?
Now, it's the pedigree.
Oh,
but I call it the reckoning.
Well, you know what? I like you better than Triple H, so we'll go with the reckoning.
Yeah, so I'll call it the reckoning.
Yeah, the reckoning. We'll go with that. Now, growing up, did you have favorite moves that you would see other wrestlers do?
Me?
Yeah, that you would like.
Yeah,
wow,
you know,
I like.
I ended up stealing a lot of them and just using them now. I was just telling her the other day that one of my biggest move set templates was D'Lo Brown. I thought that I loved his ring and work. It was solid.
Mm-hmm.
I stole all of his stuff now that he doesn't wrestle anymore. I told him that to his face when I showed up at Impact. I said, watch my match. It's going to look very familiar. And he loved it, though. So
there's some guys I like to watch. I love Jake the Snake's DDT. Nobody did that move like he did. Just about anything Ricky Steamboat did in the ring. That guy was just smooth. You could just watch the Dragon. Everything was just smooth, you know. And this is never talked about, but I love how Bret Hart does a backbreaker. He just up and down, you know. And there's a certain way, just like Randy Savage with the flying elbow or the axe handle, you know. There's certain moves people do. Shawn Michaels does a decent flying elbow, but Randy Savage, a lot of it is in how he positioned himself, and when he come off, it was like music, you know. And I noticed that with a lot of those wrestlers back in the day. But yeah. So do you have an event coming up where you two are going to team up and win?
Yeah. This Friday or Saturday?
Friday, we're in Melbourne, Florida for ARW.
Shamrock Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a tag match.
Literally Saturday, we're in Canton.
I think it's called Canton, Texas.
Canton, Texas,
just
near
outside
Dallas. Yeah.
Who are you going to
for
beat?
SWE.
Who are you going to
We
beat?
have no idea who we're working with.
Not working with. Who are you going to beat?
We don't know who we're going to beat.
We'll find
until
out.
we get there. Yeah, we'll find out. When
I'm
we get
already making the prediction here.
there. It doesn't
I
matter
know.
who it is. They're going to lose. It doesn't matter.
Us, we're the prediction. Us.
Yeah.
Come on, whose side are you on?
I'm on your side. That's why I'm saying you're going to win.
Thank you.
So far, that's our record.
So, are you guys undefeated?
So far, yeah.
Good. That's what I want to hear.
There's not very many people in independence that we should be worried about. So
That's right. That's what I want to hear. Although, if I were you, I'd be worried about her. I think she could take you. I loved your YouTube videos, by the way, where you guys were.
The hot sauce challenge.
I watched every one of those.
I'm glad.
Mhm.
We were trying to keep entertained during quarantine, and that was fun.
Actually, you know what? Where the station closed, where I wasn't at the time, I wasn't on Zoom. I started doing like my convention unveilings and stuff. That I did videos of what I got at conventions and stuff, and it was hard just finding ways to fill your time during COVID, you know. And but yeah, I watched every one of your videos. That was when I first pitched that Doubtfire challenge. I was like, well,
Right.
yeah, but I saw. I don't know why all you. By the way, you don't like Twinkies?
No. Ugh. No. What is it filled with?
Listen, Woody Harrelson from Zombieland will challenge you to a fight on that.
Come at me, Woody.
I still think you win.
The worst was that salmon like pate, like a creamy. I don't think I've ever had something like, I just want to throw up thinking about that flavor in my mouth. Like never again. By far the worst thing I've ever had.
Yeah, I watched every one of them. You still putting videos up there? Because I haven't gotten a notification in a while.
We should.
Yeah.
You know, we had a lot more downtime because we had injuries and everything in LA was shut down. And now we're both back at it, training constantly, and we barely have any downtime. But we talk about wanting to do more videos.
Oh, I enjoyed them. I found them very, very entertaining. I was waiting for one.
Good. Maybe we'll do one just for you.
Are you going to dress them in drag?
No.
Maybe. I heard maybe.
Look, that's what Cole got ganged up by 3 girls. He had to take it.
He got beautiful eyes. He looked great. Pop some eyeliner on those. Yeah.
I also remember too, and this always first when I had you and Cold on, that was May 19th. Yeah. And I remember that because your niece was born that day.
That's right. I forgot. That was fun. That was so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that every time, like when I put that up for its anniversary, I'm like, yeah, that your niece was born that day.
And it was like we heard about it like right before we did your show, so we were all like, "Oh shit!"
So I got the first announcement.
Pretty much.
How coincidental was that?
Very.
New Brunswick got the scoop first. And you don't even know where we are. This is not parts unknown that they talked about the Ultimate Warrior. I bet you he was probably from New Brunswick. Parts unknown. So, growing up, Diemos, what were the kind of matches that inspired you? Were there any favorite matches?
I skirt a thin line between the most violent matches possible, but not hardcore stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't like hardcore stuff. I think that's cheesy and stupid. Mm-hmm. I would say things like Hell in a Cell matches, you know, street fights, things like that. You know, I like matches, or even just a regular match that was just extremely physical. I like watching 2 guys beat the shit out of each other because I like testing my limits, and I like watching people who test their limits. I believe pro wrestling is a little soft nowadays.
You want me to tell you, after Mick Foley came off that cage in the Hell in the Cell, And that was a risk, but he did it,
Yeah.
against The Undertaker. And then again, this is why I say Vince McMahon is full of shit. He gave a speech, well, we told Mick Foley, never again do this. Now everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's like everybody's doing it. And Mick did not have the chiseled physique or anything like that. He had to find other ways to get over. And I think he was more over than a lot of them were at that time, but he always took the risk. Even when he was in WCW, he would do stuff like that.
That's his style, though. He's a stunt man.
Learned from Terry Funk.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about dog collar match like Piper and Valentine?
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting to watch. Yeah.
I'm not big on Hell in the Cell. I just like a regular cage match.
I just, you know what it is? It's hard for me to connect to cage matches because if all you have to do to win is open the door and leave, yeah, I don't know. It deflates the concept of being inside of a cage. Like if it was where you didn't have to open the door, then that's one thing. But like when they open the door to walk out, it's like, well, then what's the point of the cage? You could just
have the referee in there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know.
When Piper beat Rick Rude, there was a referee in the cage. Of course, Piper did take the door, but still,
yeah,
he could have. But yeah, I remember Snuka coming off that cage on Morocco. That was a highlight cage match.
Like I don't mind the escape over the top. I don't mind that. I don't like the door thing. It's just I think it takes away from the whole concept.
They should lock up the door.
Lock the door, chain the door. You get out by going over the top or by pinfall. I don't like the door.
Andre would have to go pinfall.
Yes.
I can't see him scale. I pity some of these guys that are in cage matches with Andre.
To me, that's the equivalent of having a ladder match, but you can still pin the guy. Then you don't need a ladder match.
I watched Andre in a cage match with John Studd, and he come off that second rope and down Studd's chest, and I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you could pay. I don't know if I could stay still for that. But have you two been in cage matches yet?
I have not. Not yet.
Yes,
You have?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's done a lot more than I have. He's been doing this a lot longer.
I was in a cage match here for Evolve, and I was actually in a cage match in Japan, which was a lot more difficult.
Talk about working in Japan, because Japan wrestling, I have gotten into watching a lot of that recently. The Inoki stuff, the Giant Baba stuff, and even some of the American wrestlers that went over there, like Dynamite Kid and people like that. I find, even with Hulk Hogan, he had a match with Great Muta in Japan, and he actually wrestled.
He had to wrestle. Yeah, I've seen that match. It was pretty impressive.
And I was impressed. And I was like,
I'd like to see more of that. People didn't know he actually knew how to wrestle.
Well, here's the thing, it's fun. It's nice to have your gimmicks and you to do your showboating and stuff. But in the end of the day, watching two people get in there and compete and really put on a match, that's what it's all about,
Right.
Which is why I don't understand why Vince puts Terry Taylor in the Red Rooster gimmick. Why kill off a career? Why not bring him in and try to get him over?
Well, it's just different promoters approach business from a different mentality. Vince McMahon approached the business from selling to children. It's a kid show. It's entertainment.
Oh, and that's bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes and no. Yeah, yes. All right. It made him a billionaire, and he owns this entire industry. So yes and no. When you market towards kids, you get a bigger wallet. When you treat it as a sport, you get more respect. It just matters when you enter this business, what are you seeking out, money or respect? The guys that go to Japan, they're over there because in Japan, pro wrestling is considered a sport. When you're a wrestler for WWE or here in America, it's entertainment. There's a difference. And
I like Japan. I love the Japan.
Well, yeah, a lot of people do. I do, but I also like making money. So
Yeah, but
it's
you're not making the business look bad either, as like
no,
Jim Cornette has pointed that out to about several people. You're not making the business look bad. That's the thing.
right.
You're actually making it look good. Terry Funk once had said, and I thought this was interesting. He said that I may not make you believe in wrestling, but I sure as hell will make you believe in me. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. You've got to make the audience believe in what you're doing. And I think some of the best wrestlers out there can do that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had to learn that the hard way, on both sides of that.
Hmm.
I think one of the most memorable moments, I guess, of when that switch flipped for me
Uh-huh.
was when I was training down at FCW. And I mean, I've worked and been, I've had the opportunity to be trained by some of the best people in this industry throughout my career.
Uh-huh.
But it's just different moments where things stick out to you. And I remember they had a guest coach, Saturn,
Okay,
came
I know who
down.
he is. I used to work with
From
Eddie
WCW.
Guerrero.
Saturn came down,
Yeah.
and man, oh man, is that guy stiff and aggressive and ruthless in the ring. Even at his age, it's terrifying. And I remember as he's just like bullying me around the ring, at one point I got frustrated and I rolled out of the ring, and I'm like, I need to breathe because this is frustrating me, because I came into that moment kind of as an entertainer, because I had been working a lot with WWE at that time as an entertainer, and this guy was just beating the hell out of me, and he pulled me aside and goes, "Don't get frustrated. Just remember, no one can ever call my shit fake." And I guess that kind of stuck out to me. That was like, it's a good point. It might feel a lot worse, and it might, not be as enjoyable, but every fan in that crowd is going to believe that he's in a fight. And when they believe that you're in a real fight, they get more behind it, because now, everyone shows up to the building knowing wrestling is entertainment. Everybody who buys a ticket knows they're buying a ticket to a TV show, and I guess we as entertainers are supposed to, we haven't, but we're supposed to evolve and try to create disbelief from the crowd, make them second guess the fact that they walked in there. Like when you go to the circus, it's a show, but then you see it in person, you're like, ooh, I don't know how they did that one. That's they're in the cage of the lion. It's a real lion. It's a controlled environment, but still puts you on edge of your seat, or the trapeze people, when they take away that net, you create that level, of danger, and it changes your perspective of the situation. When you walk in there knowing that they're going to fall, if they fall, it's fine. You just kind of like, oh, that was a cool flip. But when they take away that net, you're kind of like, oh, okay, let's see what happens. That's our job to do that. It's just a lost art, unfortunately, but that's because fans, I hate to say fans, because real wrestling fans aren't the ones you listen to on the internet. They're the ones that buy the tickets. But the wrestling fans that everyone tends to listen to, for some reason, the ones that don't spend money, they like to watch guys that look like them go out and do things that they could do. So they're more identifiable. They can relate to Joe Schmo from Walmart than an actual pro athlete, and that's why wrestling is what it is today.
It's interesting you mentioned about stiffness, because I know Greg the Hammer Valentine loved to work stiff, and he said that he loved wrestling Ronnie Garvin because I remember there was a match, Valentine had blood on his chest, and it was real blood. And he said that he loved it. He said he and Garvin would just hit each other with chops across the chest.
Yeah.
They loved it night after night, But here's an interesting thing. I heard, now again, this is something I've heard through a couple places on the internet. Hulk Hogan would not work with Rick Rude because Rick Rude was stiff. And I'm sitting here thinking, Jake the Snake was not big to Hogan size, but he's worked with Roode. He's worked with some of these guys that work stiff, and it didn't bother him. I'm like, what's wrong with Hogan?
I guess Hogan just didn't feel the need to prove anything. It's a mentality. People often forget that you might watch Monday Night Raw on Monday, right? So you think, okay, these guys are doing this every week on Monday, but you don't realize is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday they're also wrestling. So when you do the same thing every single night with no sleep, malnourished, you don't want to get punched in the face really hard every single night. And that's another thing. What?
I was gonna say, did you ever hear the stiff story between Andre the Giant and the Ultimate Warrior?
I was told that from the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh, you were told that?
Yeah, and he deserved it. You know, sorry. But that's how we teach people in the ring. You know, if they don't settle down, you settle them down, and then
I heard Andre
hopefully
had
they
to
take it
settle a
out.
few people down. He liked your
Yeah.
dad, though. He liked your dad, though. But yeah, I heard a few of those stories of Andre.
That's funny.
But yeah. But if you could go back in time and wrestle anybody, if you could
Mhm.
get in a time capsule and go back and wrestle anybody, who would be your top 3 guys you step in the ring with?
Oh man. Oof. Man, that's a hard question because it's like I would seek out different types of adrenaline rushes. Like if I wanted to test my skills in the ring, top 3 guys I think are the best workers in this industry are Triple H, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles.
Okay.
You know, and so if I wanted to see how good I was, I would find them in their prime and see what I can do against them.
Okay.
You know, when it comes to having a fun, entertaining main event at WrestleMania, Rock, you know, would be at the top of that, maybe even Stone Cold. And then you sprinkle in the Pipers, Hogans, and those guys, just the really over guys, because, you know, I've had a rare occasion where I could get in the ring with somebody who's at that level and feel the crowd. It's just different. You know, when you're in there in the ring, when you're in the ring with someone who's like white hot, you know, and the crowd just is hanging on every single punch and kick and slam, you know, every facial expression, it just makes it so much more fun, and it's such an adrenaline rush, you know, because everything you do matters. And I just love that aspect of it.
Well, I noticed your shirt there. Show me your shirt, the House of Heathens
Oh,
shirt.
House
Look
of
at that.
ProWrestlingTees.com.
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
ProWrestlingTees.com. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. And I like your shirt.
Also on
Teal.
ProWrestlingTees.com.
I like that color too.
Oh, thank you. It's
Yeah,
Wow.
you brought up the Hammer Valentine, and I remember I actually had a match with him.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was a scary night for me because I have a lot of respect for all the guys from that generation, and as you know, he likes things very stiff, even at his age. You know, and I remember him pulling me aside. We don't really go over much, you know, with those kind of guys. They just kind of call it all in the ring. But one thing he said was to give him space to not blow up and to lay my shit in, because he was going to. And
seeing if
I
could
thought,
see him here, but I don't know. I
you're
got
looking
him
for
in
his
here
toy?
somewhere. Yeah, but what was I keep going as what you were saying?
So
I got
you
a
know,
Valentine in there somewhere.
yeah. So we're out there wrestling, and sure enough, man, he is hammering me. Like I felt like he doesn't know the concept of pulling a punch. He's punching me in the face. He's punching me in the stomach. He's punching me in the back. And I, you know, out of respect, yeah, I was, you know, giving it back to him, but very lightly because he's an old guy. And at one point, like I had him in the corner, and I was giving him a couple hits across his back, and he looked over his shoulder. You're going to hit me like a man. You're going to keep hitting me like a bitch. And I didn't know what to do because I didn't want to hit him because I felt like I was going to hurt him because he's old, you know. And every time I was like, no, I'm trying, man. I give him a couple little bit harder, and he just straight elbowed me in my eye socket. He busted my eye open, and he goes, "Are you going to hit me? I'm going to knock you out." Like he was getting angry with me that I wasn't trying to hurt him. Yeah, and I said, "Fuck it," and I punched him in his face, and he goes, "There it is," and I was like, it didn't knock him out. It didn't make him fall on the floor at 60. You know, he didn't do anything. He just took 2 steps back, looked at his mouth, and goes, "There it is." And we just beat each other up for the rest of the match for 10 minutes. And the whole time I thought every time I landed a hit on him, that would be the last one because he couldn't get back up. And he did. You know, he gets into the back. I have a bloody face. He has a bloody mouth. He gives me a hug and says, "I haven't had a match that fun in a long time. Thanks for catching up." And he walked away. And I just remember thinking, Jesus, man, if he was that, you know, physical at that age, I couldn't imagine, you know, wanting to work with him when he was in his prime.
Can you imagine Piper dealing with him in the dog collar match?
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, I got one of him in there somewhere. He's in there. Yeah, I got a Valentine in there. I don't know. Just rooting around.
Sure, he's in
But
there somewhere.
he's in there somewhere. But yeah, wow. I'm always amazed at some of these ones that are still wrestling at that age. I think Terry Funk might be retired now, but I know he was in his 70s and still wrestling.
Hmm.
Axe and Smash Demolition, I heard occasionally you can spot somewhere wrestling, and they were great. But yeah, I would, if I was in your position, I'd probably worry about hurting them too.
Yeah, like I wrestled Tito Santana one time, and another guy who can still go.
I've got him in
and
here somewhere.
sure. And he, that guy was, he's an older guy. He's like a middle school teacher now, and he was hitting me with cross bodies and flying forearms, which I didn't think in a million years would be happening, but he did, and he was, so like some of these guys, it's incredible.
Yeah, Tito kept himself in great condition, and I know that Rick Martel had said that he had a hard time working with Tom Zink as the Can-Am Connection, but he said he had a wonderful time working with Tito Santana as Strike Force. And yeah, Tito's an example of a guy who, just like Bob Backlund, just kept himself in great shape, and he can still go in there because of that. Do you ever watch the DDP yoga? What Dallas Page has done with Jake Roberts and Scott Hall?
Yes.
Yeah. He's there's something to be said with yoga helping keep wrestlers healthy as they get older. I remember my dad coming home one time and saying like he had just talked with DDP about something or another, and he was so impressed at how much better he was able to like walk and live without being in constant pain than my dad was, and he was just like, the yoga, man, I gotta start doing it, and I've seen it, I think that there's a lot of health benefits to that they're definitely onto something with it.
Did your dad ever talk about, we talked about working stiff. Who were some of the stiff wrestlers your dad worked at besides Valentine? Was there any that stood out to him?
Honestly, I didn't. I wasn't very heavily involved in the wrestling side of his life. But I do know that because he was, even though he was like, 6'2", 6'3", back in those days, that was very short. Like if you see him on camera with the other people, he looks like a smaller guy. So I do feel that he felt the need to hit harder, go faster, go harder during a time period where people already were kind of going harder. And I think that that's also had a lot more wear and tear on his body as he got older than maybe some of the other guys, just because he felt the need to physically keep up to that. But it was a different time period. I think wrestling's always kind of a dog eat dog world, but back then it was a level that I hope I never have to personally deal with, or so I hear.
Well, yeah.
Hogan. He worked with Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty snug in the ring.
Yeah, I remember Best Piper beat him. Sleeper hold. That was a great match. I was happy Piper beat him, but yeah. Okay, talk about what's coming up. You guys got a bout coming up. Would you say Friday?
Friday and Saturday.
Friday and Saturday. Same opponents?
No, one's over here in Florida, the other's in Texas. ARW is the first show, and the second one is SWE. And they'll be ARW airs on Fight TV. I think that they just started airing their previous episodes, so you'll be able to watch it on the internet, or y'all have Apple TV, whatever apps smart TVs download nowadays. So it's getting decent distribution, and we're keeping busy, man. We're going to go straight from one show to a flight to the next show without any sleep. Yeah. So
do you have to quarantine when you do that? No? Okay.
No, I mean, we've definitely had to take several COVID tests just to train with certain people or things like that. People are still pretty safe when it comes to working in the industry. They, anytime somebody show symptoms or anything, they'll pull them off the show and try to keep everybody safe. So far we haven't run into any issues. Anybody that, you know, tested positive obviously doesn't show up to work. So, you know, so far everything's been good and safe. Hopefully it stays that way. Now that the vaccine's coming out, it'll hopefully just keep opening instead of closing.
Now I hear stories about the Randy Savage planning out move by move his bout with Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, you know, and how that went about. Do you have to, like, you got 2 different sets of opponents coming up this week? How do you go into that? Do you meet with them? Do you plan this? Or does it just go by ear?
It's tricky. I'm, you know, obviously I'm the greener wrestler out of the group.
Okay.
So I think I rely heavily on people like Diemos and my opponents generally in the matches more.
Okay.
But I feel like it really varies. You know, the thing that is wrestling is sometimes you don't know anything until you're about to walk out. Like the last match he had, he's like in his gear getting ready, like no idea who this match is against. So, you know, you kind of have to be flexible. I try to utilize any skill or time I have to try to make the most out of it because of, you know, I'm obviously having to learn on a faster curve than a lot of newer wrestlers have to, which is why I train very hard and I work really hard because I'm aware of that standard. But like I said, for me, I personally just try to listen and learn as quick as I can. And I very much rely on veterans to kind of carry through any sloppy parts of the matches. So,
well, you know what, that you can only learn. So is there any
I'm
moves?
doing the best I can.
Is there any moves that you've got down that you've learned that you it's like, wow, I can do this. I'm able to do this. Is there any moves that?
I mean, I have a few, but I'm more interested in what you think I have down. I think I'm great at everything.
She's great at everything. Is she right?
There's some things I feel like it takes years and years to be like a strong, great wrestler, you know? So, you know, there are some things that come easier to me and other things that will take more work. What do you think?
She's very good at forearms. They're very believable. She's good at body slams. She's good at side slams.
Okay.
She successfully landed some spine busters. That was pretty good.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And she even hit an angle slam or 2. That was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm working on it. You know, it's just we're for me, I'm just trying to make sure my fundamentals are strong and, you know, try not to get ahead of myself. Like, I think a lot of wrestlers come at things, they're like, I want to do something fancy and do this move and that move and don't really fully get the basics down or, you know, the essentials. And I'm just trying to make sure that what I do is as good as I can make it before I continue on to learn more stuff.
Did you learn the spine buster from Arn Anderson watching him? Because I remember he used to really do that move.
I learned it from him.
You learned it from him. Okay. Yeah, did you learn it from Arn?
But Arn Anderson's a great wrestler, man. I've heard
actually, yes, I did.
Because I remember Arn would do that, and sometimes he'd take them and he'd spin them around and
down. 1 degree away from
Arn
teaching this.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he puts over with his. We're not there yet with her, but she does a very good standing one.
I think of when I think Spinebuster, I think Arn Anderson, yeah, because he would just catch them and spin them around and down on their back, and that was pretty impressive. Now, can you do like the smaller moves, like the small package and the roll ups and stuff?
Yeah. We do that. We've worked on chain wrestling and stuff like that. You know,
she's a great headlock takedown, that's for sure.
Okay. Does she win all the arguments?
One way or the other.
Very good at being loud. My forte, I would say, just very loud, unstoppably. So
here's a question for you, Ariel. Can you cut promos the way your dad did?
I don't think anyone can cut promos the way my dad did. I think I cut promos the way I do. I've been told I'm good on the mic.
Okay.
I definitely feel more obviously coming from an acting background and, you know, being comfortable on camera probably helps with that. I definitely feel more comfortable with that than anything else. But, you know, I also, you know, I don't like to be like, yeah, I'm just as good as my dad, because there'll never be another him. And I'm not trying to do that, you know,
No.
so I'm just, you know, but I definitely feel more comfortable on the mic than I do, I don't know, flipping off the top rope anytime soon.
Yeah, you got to be very, very careful with that. Although I'm going to tell you, one of the last times I remember being like, oh, blown out of my mind, just impressed, was I saw the WrestleMania match between Charlotte and Asuka, and I never saw this done before, unless I've been in the backwoods. But Charlotte took her and flipped and went like this down to the mat with Asuka, and I was like, shit. I'd never seen that
I think
before.
when you have two people of that athletic ability and both great wrestlers, you know, like they can do some really awesome shit in the ring. You know, they're just two very talented people.
They did a Spanish fly off the top rope.
Is that what that's called? I see. I don't know that, but yeah, that was pretty impressive. But and then they did. I know Brock tried something like that, and he hurt his neck. Speaking of neck injury, yeah. But yeah, that was an impressive move. I saw not too long ago on Facebook, maybe it was 2019, you and your mom got to see Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah, I think, God, I want to say Cauliflower Alley Club was probably the last place I saw him. Yeah, we call him Uncle Bob.
Uncle Bob.
Yeah, my first memory in life was I was like a baby and it was at his house. Don't remember anything after that till I was like 10. It's the weirdest thing.
When's the last time you saw the Nature Boy, Ric Flair? Woo!
WrestleMania 2019, maybe.
Is he still as crazy as ever?
Yes, 100%. I saw him a year and a half ago when we did Raw, and he's the exact same human being he always was.
I still love that wife swap that Roddy and Flair did, and your mom took Flair up with this really lame disguise on. It's like, no, all he did was add more attention to himself.
Oh yeah, man, that was so funny. You know, and they didn't know who the celebrity they were swapping with was. So when my dad found out it was Flair, oh my God, it was so funny.
They did another one with Mick.
He's like, I want my wife back right now.
But Flair had this really bad fake mustache on, and I'm like, yeah, you're not fooling anybody. You might as well come out there with the robes on.
Oh Lord.
Talk about the conventions. I know you guys did do a signing.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely done. You know, right now with coronavirus, everything's weird. Obviously, a lot of things got canceled in 2020, and the things that are kind of open now are extremely limited, and everyone's kind of figuring out on the go how to put on a convention right now while being aware of the situation. So I'm not really sure what we will be at next. You know, we kind of take little things here and there. Honestly, the best way to meet us is to come to one of the shows we're performing at, because we usually have a merch table and like we'll come out and say hi to people. Hopefully, as the world continues to open, there'll be bigger and more conventions, and we certainly plan on being at, you know, as many as we can get into. So,
what's the most unique thing you've both been asked to sign? I always ask all my guests this.
What's yours? I want to know yours.
Tennis shoes.
Tennis shoes.
It's weird because a lot of people in wrestling know that I'm a shoe guy, so they'll come up to me with their like Jordans or something, which I feel uncomfortable doing because I'm a shoe guy.
Okay.
But I've signed some Jordans and Nikes before.
Okay.
I would say the weirdest things I get are, I had a guy come up with a personal item of my dad's that he bought off a family member that I would never condone, but whatever. I don't get to say all the time. And he wanted me to write like just the longest paragraph of like really weird, like my name is Ariel Teal Toombs, and this was my father, and I'm sad he died. And like, just like my thoughts, but like he thought them for me. And at the time I was so taken back. I wasn't sure, because it was the first time I was really approached with something like that. I didn't know how to do it. So I just kind of went along with it. And I've gotten a couple more similar things since then. And it's just always weird. Like, I think that sometimes people don't realize that you actually knew the person as like a family member, and like, you know, like they kind of just have a disconnect to that.
Yeah.
So sometimes those will rub me a little weird when, you know, but I would say like personal items that he owned that like I have memories attached to, and then to tell me what they want me to say on it in a weirdly specific emotional way is kind of weird. But other than that, I haven't had too many ones that have weirded me out. I haven't had like a strange item show up, like a water bottle or something where you're like, huh? I've seen others get those though.
How many times did you get to sign Psycho Sleepover?
I think once when the movie came out, and hopefully never again.
Is that on Blu-ray yet? I like that movie.
What? Good. So
trust me, if I get in one of your lines,
I would like to make more movies in the future, sir. Thank you.
If I'm ever in your line, I'm going to weird you out, because I'm going to hold that up. Yeah, you're black. Okay, I'm going to hold that up and say,
so
she's
sorry,
in this movie. She loves us.
Oh, Lord. That is freaking hilarious.
You've got, okay, before I let you go, I want you to plug your websites and where,
all right.
So people
come to Instagram, Teal Piper, although it's my full name, like Ariel_Teal_Toombs, but just search Teal Piper, Ariel Teal on Twitter. Those are the two main platforms I use.
Official_Diemos on Instagram, Real Diemos on Twitter.
And ProWrestlingTees.com if you want to buy any of our merch. The book Rowdy, the Roddy Piper story is for sale on Amazon.com. And if you want to check out any of my music, it's just under Teal on iTunes. I think I'm out of things to plug there.
Am I able to get the full CD?
You know, at one point you could off Amazon. I'm not sure, honestly. I'd have to check. It's been a while since I've looked at that, but there's definitely going to be more. I have a lot of music that I haven't released yet, just because I've been so sidetracked with wrestling, and then COVID happened and everything shut down with the studios. So, you know, I'll definitely have more coming out.
Okay. All right. And I definitely got to get some t-shirts too.
Yeah.
I love the teal green on your shirt. Green's my favorite color.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. So I got to get to, I know I told you that before, but I definitely am going to. And yeah, I am going to cameo you on my birthday.
Please do.
What is your charity of choice? Because I'll donate to your charity of choice. I'll get you do another Doubtfire.
Well, for me, I'm a big animal person. My favorite charity is because I worked with them hand in hand almost every day in LA for years. Bunnies. Bunny Love. They're Bunny Love LUV out of Los Angeles.
Okay.
I've handled it. I know everybody there. I've done so much for them. So that's one of my favorite, but anything animals. And then there's also St. Jude's Hospital in Portland, Oregon was my dad's favorite. So for instance, when he passed, we asked everyone to donate there in lieu of flowers. So that's also one that I tend to work with when I can. What about you? Do you have any, or did I hog all the charity spots?
You hogged them all. Hogged them all.
Well,
he's like, donate to wrestlers out of work during COVID.
Donate to the Jim Cornette Foundation.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Diemos, it was really nice meeting you. You know,
you too.
You got wonderful taste in partners, I gotta say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree.
Ariel, I gotta put you on the spot because I'm looking forward to doing this next part. You know what it is?
I don't.
I want you to do a plug for my show.
Okay. Let's see if I can say it right. It's getting late. Read it to me. What is it I need to say?
Say say your name. Actually, say both of you that you're the House of Heathens. You know, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise, New Brunswick, Canada. I loved it because my favorite plugs were always from you because your brother would go right through it and you messed it up like 5
I
times.
did a plug for him, and for the life of me, I could not say it. Like, I was just fucking done. And then they kept, and I was like, you just have Colt do this, please.
I kept them all in too because I'm like, I just entertained.
Yeah, he just put them all together. All right, let's see if I can do this.
Go for it.
All right. My name's Teal Piper. This is Diemos. We're from House of Heathens. You guys are listening to Greg Gilbert's Python Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada.
One take.
I know. It's because last time I had like 17 fucking radio shows beforehand. And I could not talk anymore.
Piper approves.
Yay. There we go.
Well, you know what? It was nice keeping in touch. I wish you two the very best of luck. Diemos, again, it was nice meeting you. I wish you the best, and I hope to. You guys, your matches on YouTube?
Yes, many. Yes.
You know what? I'm going to look them up because I want to get familiar with you guys because I need some good wrestling to watch, and I have a feeling you guys will present that.
Yes.
Yes. When our match starts to air on Fight TV in the next, probably in the next couple of weeks and stuff, I'll send it over to you.
You know what? I'd like that. I have confidence that you two aren't going to let me down. So
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me on again and for introducing him to your show. Well, I always appreciate the support.
Maybe next year I'll have you back on. I'll have you both back on. I'm more.
Well, yeah, when we're world champions.
You guys will have the belts then.
I'm getting a belt. I'm gonna work towards a belt. I poke my way to a belt if I have to.
I poke your way to a belt. Yeah, I always watch what you're doing on there, and I like or heart or whatever it is, but
I know.
And I always appreciate it. So yeah, I appreciate it, and God bless you. God bless your family. I thank you both from the bottom of my heart coming on here tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Greg.
Absolutely. You take care, both.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.